Welcome back to Random Rod Shop, folks. Well, let me show you what I found. Those who's been watching, you know what that fits on? The story I got was that, you know, a guy needed a welding table, or sorry, a guy needed a welding trailer, and so he took his 59 old beat up pickup and he cut the frame off of it, right? He cut the front of it off and he put his link in there, and I assume he put the bottle there. Bottles, probably. And you can see the bed floor's all gone out of it. He looks like he had some what we call wafer board. I think it's got a different name, but cheap pressed wood. But there is no rust through on this bed. It has the, you know, it's got some dents on the bottoms, but none of the dents are actually that bad. Still has the Fleetside emblems on it, and that's a factory bumper. It's a little rough, but it's not bent. It's just been welded on and stuff a few times. So, I'm excited. I am really excited. So I'm going to give you guys a couple of trivia points on beds. One of the things that's always bothered me about this task force design is it seems like the bed sets too low, right? Relative to the back of the cab, the top of the bed rails just set too low. Now you can see this migration. If you look at a 50, you know, the 50s. Actually, this is the first Fleetside, so we'll start there. I dropped my tape measure. So you look at the 50s. Actually, you know what? Let me take a measurement and show you the measurement, and we're going to go get back out of the sun. I don't know where you live, but in Oklahoma, it has been hot, and it's just now starting out. So. Let me show you a measurement. So, I don't know if you can see that or not. That's about 19 1/4, 3/8, somewhere in there. And I'm coming from the top of that wood bed hold down rail, which should be about where the wood is. So that is the height from the floor to the top of the bedside. All right. Let me turn this off. Let's go back to the shop. Actually, before we go back up there, here is a stock 1959 half-ton pickup frame. Notice that the frame is essentially flat, right? That plane and that plane are pretty much the same thing. It's got just a little bit of a kick up in it. Not much, but a little bit. All right. It's still like 10 o'clock here, and it's already 95 degrees. Humidity's a scaring 50%. So, we're going to stay in the shade. Okay. All right, so you saw that I measured the bed, and on one of the things about these trucks, these tasks, you know, we're working on the 57, right? One of the things about that just always kind of looked out of place to me was the Fleetside bed sets so far below the window door line. If you you look, I'm assuming you have a pickup if you're, you're watching this channel. So you look outside, look at your pickup, and you know, look where the bed is relative to the door window. You can watch the migration over time from this first Fleetside bed, right? It's this far below the door. Seems like I had that measurement one time, but it's, you know, it's about this far below the door window. And then you look at the 60s, right? And that bed comes up just a little bit. Then you look at the 70s. Actually, I'll take you. I don't have a 60s up here, but I'll take you out and I'll show you my 71. And let's see. And I got a square body out there. And there's a 2001 out there. So let me walk you around a little bit. So here's my 71, right? And you can see, you know, there's the window, and there's the body line, there's the top of the bed. So by the 67 to 72 generation, the bed had moved up quite a bit. Here's my son's square body. It's an 80, let's see, I think it's an 85. All right, so again, there's the window and there's the top of the bed, so it's actually a little closer than what the 67 to 72 is. This is my wife's dad's truck. He bought this new, this is a 93, and you can see in 93, the top of the bed rail had actually gone above the window and the doors. Now, I'll be the first to agree with you that they started making the windows taller so you get better visibility through your mirrors. I understand that, but just from a visual appearance, it looks like the bed's going up. Here's a 2001, I believe, Silverado, and that one's a little harder to see, but actually I think the top of the bed is just a little bit lower than the 93. I have to measure that to be sure, but it's still up there on par with the bottom of the window. But it's just hard to say. It's about the same as 93. How about that? Here's the wife's truck. It's a 2016, and it looks like it kind of flares up there, but the top of the bed line looks like it's pretty even with the bottom of the windows. You know, it just occurred to me, I should have taken a tape measure with you too. I should have taken a tape measure. So, dadgummit. Alright, so I'm going to wander around again, go through the same pickups, and we're going to measure the bed depth on each one of them. So the 67 to 72 is about 19 1/4. I'm going to measure these in a different order this time because these are all together. That's just a tad under 19 1/4. That's the 93. Now this one's a little deceiving because it's got bed liner in it. And it's got that top on it. Let's see here. Where's a good place to measure it? That one looks like, well, if I'm kind of guessing here, it's like 20 3/4 maybe. Somewhere in there. And I'm measuring off the top of the ribs. That, I forgot about that. That looks like it's about 1/8 of an inch thick. So make it somewhere. So make it somewhere around what? 20 5/8 maybe. Here's my son's square body. That's about 19 1/2. And then we got the 2001, I think. It's about 19 1/2 also. So, what did we learn? Getting that bed and trying to decide how to fit that bed on this truck, because I really would like the top of the that Fleetside to be up closer to the door. It just feels like it is a separate vehicle, right? It just doesn't seem to, the lines in my mind doesn't seem to flow. So I went around and measured the other beds. I'm like, well, that's interesting. So I went looking, and apparently from a sort of a windage factor rule of thumb, the bed depth has always been around 20 to 22 inches. And the ranges, I found a little better statistic, and it's like 19 1/4, a little over 19 to 21 1/2 or 22 1/2, I guess. So different companies can range the beds, but the sweet spot seems to be in that 20 to 22 inches. Now we just measured all of these, and depending on where you're measuring them, right? Are you measuring? I measured on top of the ridge in the beds. If I measure on the bottom of the ridge, they're going to get closer. So they were 19 1/4. The ridge is, what do you think the ridge is? 1/4 inch? So 19 1/2 if I go to the bottom of the ridge. I don't know. It's close. But the 57 was 19, from where I measured, right, floor height, so you're going to scoot something in. The 57 bed height was the same as the 67 to 72. And I'm pretty sure if I walk all the way out in the back of the pasture and measure that 65 I've got, I suspect it's going to be the same, but I haven't measured that one, just to be clear. So the 67 to 72 is about 19 1/4. The next generation, which is the square body, that was about 19 1/4, right? Then we moved to the 93, which is the next body style, and I have to watch the video. I think it was around 19 1/4, right? Let's see, 93. Then we moved to the Silverado body style, and it was pretty close to what, 19 1/4. Then we went to the 2016, because let's see, is there one in between there? I don't know if there's body style in between there or not, but I don't have that one. If there is. The 2016, now that was taller. That was the 21 and whatever I decided it was. 21 5/8, does that sound right? Anyway, so it's a little taller, but from at least when they came out with this steel bed on the 57, could you get it on the 57? I don't remember. Maybe it was a 58 when it actually came out, but whenever they came out with that Fleetside, the bed height was relatively the same all the way up until you get to the 1998 Silverado. I think that's right. So from 58 to 98. So for 40 years, the bed height was essentially the same on Chevys. And everything I've read, all the other pickups are going to be real close to that too. So that's interesting, right? If the bed depth is the same, and yet it kept migrating up because the cabs haven't gotten smaller. I don't think the cabs have gotten smaller. So what's happening here? What I think's going on, and I'm going to pull you around. I'm going to show you the Explorer chassis because it kind of shows what all the rest of them is going to show. All right. Hey, you guys, it's for you guys that's been watching, you notice I got coil springs stuck in the back of this thing. What I decided when I started playing with these beds, that factory shock mount ain't gonna work. It's not gonna work, right? The support for the shocks has got to set below the frame rails. So I've got a temporary plate on there just so I can get some springs on there and get this thing suspended. And I'm gonna run a rectangular tubing across there, or box tubing, I don't know which, and tie in the spring mount and the shock mount to that. Anyway, what I wanted to show you is as the frames get newer, they actually get a more pronounced kick up. Now I believe their intent was to keep trying to get the cab lower and lower so the step-in height for the cab would get lower. That's what I think. So if you look at, especially like a square body, it comes up in the front, or I mean it's up here in the front, then it dips down where the cab sets, and then it dips up in the back. Anybody that's done a frame swap and you've tried to put an old bed on a modern chassis, you kind of run into problems because the bed floor is in the way. It's, you know, all the Crown Vic swaps on old Fords or whatever, you look at it, and one way or another, you got to get that rear suspension. You got to get room for that, for the frame and the rear suspension and everything, and basically you just raise the bed floor up. That's the trouble I'm having with that 63 I've got is I'm not willing to cut a really nice short wide bed, Ford short wide bed for that truck. I'm not willing to cut that thing up yet. Maybe at some point I will be, but I'm not there yet. So that's why I'm still pondering what I'm going to put under that truck. Anyway, man, I'm good at rabbit holing today. All right, so as the truck gets more modern, you kind of get more of a kick up in the back. So that's one design criteria you're fighting, right? The other one is sort of the rule of thumb for bed height, right? So if let's just pick 20 inches. So you need a bed depth of 20 inches. If the frame rails are coming up and you got to start your bed floor at a higher elevation, then the top of the bed's got to come up. I don't know if that's the reasoning behind all of that, but it sure feels right. So, where does that put us? Well, I've got a factory bed that it has a wood floor in it, so really it's not hard to take the bed out of that floor, but I definitely don't want a bed this deep, so I want to raise the floor. I want to raise the whole bed up, but the body lines on the side of the bed are not going to match up with the truck, right? So what I'm thinking is I'm going to take the floor out of the factory out of that 59 bed. I'm going to mount it, and you know as well as I am, the frame rail is going to be sticking up in the middle of the bed. I've got a Silverado bed out here. Let me show this to you. So this is a 99 2000. It's a 6.5 foot bed. It's on an extended cab. Let's see. Yeah, this is an extended cab. So it's not the 5'8" bed that's on the crew cabs. It's the 3 or 4 door model, whatever that was. Anyway, I've had it on the 57, and the top of this bed actually hits this truck about right here. So it's still not up to the door line, but it's it's kind of in line with the 67 or the I think the square body, right? The square body is just a tad lower, so it hits about right here. Now, if you look at the side of this, the factory bed comes out, I think the factory bed comes out here, right? So it rolls over, and that's my biggest problem is you've got this space right here that just seems to be broken. The bed only comes up to about that body line, and you get this big gap here. So the Silverado bed, when I put it on there, it comes up where I kind of like it. Obviously, the profile isn't the same. So what I'm thinking is take the floor out of that 59 bed, get it mounted on here so the body lines all line up, and then basically take this floor and this part of the Silverado bed and put that on the 59 bed. Now the curvature is not exactly the same right here, but I think it's close enough we can work with it. So the bed floor in the Silverado fits on this, and if I go ahead and keep the same relationship, I'll still end up with the right bed depth, right? So it won't look like it's cobbled together, I don't think. And the body lines will all line up on the sides. I think that will solve my problem. I'm sitting here replaying all those words in my head. I don't know if that was coherent or not, but in simple terms, I think I want to put the 59 bed on this truck, take the floor out of it, set it on, get the body lines lined up, get it mounted, and then cut the floor out of the Silverado, set it inside at where it needs to be. On the Silverado, it bolts right directly to the frame. So get this thing bolted down. I'll have to make some stanchions for the bed supports right behind the cab, but get the bed in there, and then cut that top bed rail off of the Silverado and graft it to the top of the 59 bed. That'll close the gap between the horizontal line of the bottom of the windows. Not all, but it'll get it up a little higher. It'll still have the same perspective. I'll have a full bed. And in terms of the tailgate, the tailgate will have to come up, right? I don't know if you guys know that, but I think the tailgate for this bed is the exact same tailgate that goes on a 65 Fleetside. I think that's what I remember. We'll find out, but basically, tailgate will rise up so it'll be at the right position for the bed. And keep it in mind that the frame rails come out underneath the bed, so the bumper will bolt on right there. So I actually don't think you're going to see the height back there. You know, on all beds, you got this big rectangular box that goes along the back side, and the bumper hides it. So put the factory bumper on it, bolt it up to the Explorer frame rails, and I think that'll work. We're going to try it anyway. Tell me what you think about that idea. What do you think? Have you ever noticed, has it ever stuck out to you that the bed seems to sit low on those on these late 50s trucks? Anyway, leave a comment below. If you enjoy what we're doing, go ahead and subscribe. You know, leave a like. And until next time, I'm Random at RandomRodShop, and I'm out of here.